I'm Daniel, a 38-year-old architect, married to Clara for 12 years. We live in a sunlit Portland home, our lives woven into routines. Coffee at dawn, her laughter over my terrible puns, and evenings sketching designs while she grades papers. Clara, a high school English teacher, radiates warmth, her hazel eyes crinkling when she smiles. Our daughter, Lily, 7, is our heartbeat. Life felt like a well-drawn blueprint, precise and dependable. But blueprints hide flaws beneath their lines. Last month, I noticed Clara's phone buzzing late at night. She'd snatch it, her fingers trembling, muttering about work emails. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? She'd always been my anchor. But the buzzes grew frequent, her smiles forced. She'd linger in the bathroom, door locked, whispering to someone. I'd press my ear to the wood, hearing only muffled urgency. Just a colleague, she'd say, brushing it off. I wanted to believe her, but doubt is a slow poison. I started waking at 3 a.m., staring at her sleeping form, wondering who she was when I wasn't looking. Her scent, lavender and ink, felt foreign now. I checked her phone once, heart pounding, but it was locked with a new passcode. She'd never hidden it before. At breakfast, Lily chattered about school, oblivious to the fracture growing between us. Clara avoided my gaze, her fingers fidgeting with her mug. I asked about her day, probing gently. Same old, she said, too quickly. I nodded, but my chest tightened. I began noticing details. Her lipstick, bolder than usual. Her dresses, tighter, chosen with care. She'd leave for book club, but return smelling of unfamiliar cologne. I'd lie awake, replaying her excuses, each one a brick in a wall I couldn't scale. I wasn't paranoid, I was awake. Our home, once a sanctuary, felt like a stage where she played a role. I loved her, but love doesn't blind you forever. One evening, I found a receipt in her purse. Dinner for 2 at a restaurant she'd never mentioned. The date? A night she'd claimed to be at school late. I held the paper, my hands shaking, as Lily called me to read her a story. I tucked her in, my voice steady, but inside, I was unraveling. Clara was slipping away, and I didn't know why, or with whom, but I would find out. I had to. The man I was trusting, patient, was fading. Someone sharper, hungrier, was taking his place. I didn't know what I'd do when I learned the truth, but I knew it wouldn't be gentle. The receipt burned in my pocket for days. I carried it like a talisman, a reminder that my life wasn't what it seemed. Clara's behavior grew bolder. She'd leave for hours, claiming parent-teacher meetings, but her stories frayed at the edges. She'd mention a student's name, then contradict herself later. I started tracking her patterns, not proud of it but desperate. I'd note when she left, when she returned, the mileage on her car. Numbers don't lie. People do. One Saturday, she said she was meeting her friend Sarah for brunch. I nodded, kissing her forehead, tasting the lie in her perfume. After she left, I called Sarah. Brunch? Haven't seen Clara in weeks, she said, confused. My stomach churned. I drove to the cafe Clara named, my hands gripping the wheel. Her car wasn't there. I sat in the parking lot, staring at nothing, the world tilting. Where was she? Who was she with? That night, I went through her laptop while she showered. My fingers trembled as I opened her email, expecting nothing. She was too careful. But there, in her trash folder, was a message from Mark. No last name, just a first. Meet me at the loft, 2 p.m. You know why? My breath caught. The loft? We didn't own one. I Googled the address embedded in the email. A rental downtown, sleek and private. My mind raced, painting pictures I didn't want to see. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed proof, something undeniable. I started following her, discreetly, using my old pickup instead of our SUV. Tuesday, she drove to the loft. I parked a block away, watching her slip inside, her steps quick, furtive. A man greeted her at the door, tall, broad-shouldered, maybe 40. He touched her arm and she didn't pull away. My vision blurred, not from tears but rage. I didn't know his face, but I'd learn it. I drove home, numb, Lily's crayons scattered on the kitchen table. Clara returned at 6 p.m., humming, her cheeks flushed. "Good day," I asked, my voice calm. "Great," she said, kissing my cheek. I smiled, but my mind was elsewhere, plotting. I hired a private investigator the next day, a grizzled man named Ray who smelled of cigarettes. "Give me a week," he said. I gave him her schedule, the loft's address, everything. I didn't want guesses. I wanted names, dates, photos. I wanted to know who Mark was, how long this had been happening, and why Clara thought she could betray me. The receipt was just the start. I was building a case, not for divorce, but for something colder. She'd chosen this path. I'd choose what came next. Ray worked fast. By Friday, he slid a manila envelope across a diner table, his eyes unreadable. "You sure you want this?" he asked. I nodded, my throat dry. Inside were photos, timestamps, and a name. Mark Ellison, 41, a real estate agent. The man from the loft. The images showed Clara and him, her laughing in his car, their hands entwined outside a bar, her entering the loft with him, staying for hours. Each photo was a blade, slicing through the life I thought I had. Mark wasn't a stranger. I dug into him, using every tool I could. LinkedIn, public records, even his smug Instagram. He was married, too, with 2 kids, his wife a pediatrician named Laura. His posts screamed success. Tailored suits, vacations in Bali, a life polished to perfection. But the photos Ray gave me showed another side. Mark's hand on Clara's waist, his lips brushing her ear. I memorized his face, his smirk, the way he moved like he owned the world. Clara didn't suspect I knew. She'd come home, cook dinner, read to Lily, play the part of devoted wife. But her touches felt mechanical, her kisses hollow. I played along, mirroring her act, but every smile I gave her hid a growing storm. I couldn't sleep, my mind looping through the photos, the emails, the lies. Why him? Was it thrill, love, or something I couldn't grasp? I didn't care. Not anymore. I started learning Clara's secrets. I cloned her phone's data using software Ray recommended, accessing her texts, calls, even deleted messages. She and Mark had been meeting for 6 months. Their words a mix of flirtation and urgency. "Can't stop thinking about you," he'd write. "You're my escape," she'd reply. Escape? From what? Our life? Me? I read their plans, dinners, weekends disguised as work trips. She told me she was at a conference last month. She'd been with him in Seattle. I didn't confront her because I wasn't ready. I needed more, not just evidence, but leverage. I contacted Laura, Mark's wife, anonymously, sending her a single photo of Clara and Mark. No note. Let her stir the pot. I wanted Mark distracted, his perfect life cracking. Meanwhile, I watched Clara, studying her for weaknesses. She was careful but not flawless. She'd slip and I'd be there. Lily's school play was that week. Clara clapped beside me, her hand in mine, but I felt nothing. I was already planning, my mind sharpening like a blade. Revenge wasn't just anger, it was art. I'd dismantle her world, not with shouts or fists, but with precision. Mark, too. They'd learn what betrayal costs. I just needed the right moment, the perfect design. It was coming. I could feel it. Laura's reaction was swift. 2 days after I sent the photo, Mark's Instagram went private. His polished posts vanished, replaced by silence. I imagined Laura confronting him, her voice sharp, his excuses crumbling. Good. Let him squirm. Clara noticed something, too. She was jumpy, checking her phone obsessively, her texts to Mark shorter, laced with worry. "Is everything okay?" she'd write. "Laura's acting strange," he'd reply. I read it all, invisible, my cloned access to her phone, a window into their panic. I didn't stop there. I started small, subtle. Clara's car keys went missing one morning, forcing her to cancel a meeting with Mark. I'd hidden them in Lily's toy box, knowing she'd never look there. She blamed herself, flustered, while I offered to drive her to work, my face a mask of concern. Another day, I accidentally forwarded one of her emails. A benign one, but from Mark, to her school's principal, claiming a mix-up. The principal called her in, questioning her professional contacts. She came home pale, muttering about workplace stress. I nodded, pouring her wine, my heart cold. I wanted her to feel unsteady, to sense the ground shifting. I wasn't ready to reveal my hand, but I could tighten the screws. I hacked into Mark's real estate listings, using a burner laptop and skills I'd picked up from a tech-savvy colleague. I flagged his properties as under investigation on public forums. Anonymous but credible. His clients started calling him, confused, his reputation wobbling. He texted Clara, frantic. Someone's messing with my business. She tried to soothe him, but her replies were strained. I smiled, reading their fear. At home, I kept up the facade. I cooked Clara's favorite pasta, asked about her day, kissed her goodnight. But I was studying her, cataloging her habits. She'd started locking her phone in her desk drawer, thinking it safe. I'd already copied its data, but I let her believe she was clever. Lily was my anchor. She'd hug me, her small arms grounding me, reminding me why I was doing this. Clara didn't deserve her. Or me. I met Ray again, this time for strategy. He suggested exposing them publicly but anonymously, social media, their workplaces, their friends. I liked it, but it wasn't enough. I wanted something sharper, something that'd linger. I started researching Mark's finances, his deals, his clients. If I could tie him to something shady, real or fabricated, it'd ruin him. Clara, too, would feel the fallout. Her school wouldn't tolerate scandal. I wasn't just breaking their affair. I was breaking their lives. The blueprint was forming, each line deliberate. They'd never see me coming, but they'd feel me when I struck. Clara's cracks were showing. She'd snap at Lily over small things. Spill juice, a loud toy, then catch herself apologizing too loudly. Her eyes were tired, her laughter rare. Mark's texts grew erratic, his confidence unraveling as his business faltered. Laura's hired a lawyer, he wrote one night. Clara didn't reply for hours, and when she did, it was curt. We need to be careful. Careful? Too late for that. I was everywhere, a shadow they couldn't name. I escalated. Using a fake email, I sent Mark's clients tips about his unethical practices, citing vague but plausible details from public records. His phone buzzed constantly now, his replies to Clara full of paranoia. Someone's out to get me, he wrote. She tried to calm him, but her own fear bled through. I'd also tipped off her school's HR about concerns over her conduct. Anonymous but pointed. They called her for a meeting, and she came home shaken, claiming it was nothing serious. I kissed her forehead, hiding my satisfaction. I wasn't just dismantling their worlds. I was building a cage. I rented a P.O. box under a false name and sent Clara a letter. Typed, no signature. I know about you and Mark. Stop, or everyone will know. She found it in our mailbox, her hands trembling as she read it. Junk mail, she told me, tossing it, but her voice cracked. That night, she barely slept, tossing beside me. I lay still, my mind racing with the next step. I dug deeper into Mark's life. He had a side hustle flipping properties through a shell company. Sloppy, traceable. I fed Ray the details, and he found irregularities enough to hint at fraud. I didn't need proof. I needed doubt. I leaked the info to a local blogger who loved real estate scandals, staying anonymous. The post went live, naming Mark's company. His texts to Clara were desperate now. This could ruin me. She urged him to fix it. But her words were hollow. She was drowning, too. At home, I played the devoted husband, but my heart was stone. Lily's giggles kept me human. Her trust a reminder of what Clara was betraying. I planned the final act, public, precise, devastating. I'd expose them, but not with a shouting match. I'd use their own lives against them, their secrets as weapons. Clara thought she could hide. Mark thought he was untouchable. They were wrong. I was no longer the man who trusted blindly. I was the architect of their ruin, and the foundation was set. All I needed was the right moment to bring it down. It was close. I could taste it. Clara's unraveling was a quiet spectacle. She'd stare at her phone, waiting for Mark's texts, but they came less often now. His world was collapsing, clients dropping him, his name smeared in that blogger's post. I'd engineered it all, invisible, my hands clean. The letter I'd sent her lingered in her mind. She'd double-check the mailbox daily, her fingers twitching. I watched, silent, as she scanned our street for threats she couldn't name. She thought she was being watched. She was right. I pushed harder. Using a burner phone, I texted Mark a single line. "I know about Clara. End it or Laura gets everything." He didn't reply, but his texts to Clara turned frantic. "Someone's onto us," he wrote. "We need to stop." She begged him to stay calm, promising they'd figure it out. Figure it out? I almost laughed. There was no escape. I cloned their lives, knew their every move. They were puppets, and I held the strings. At home, Clara's facade cracked. She'd forget Lily's school events, burn dinner, then cry in the bathroom, thinking I couldn't hear. I'd knock gently, offering comfort, but my voice was hollow. I didn't feel pity, only purpose. Lily noticed, too, asking why Mommy's sad. I hugged her, promising everything was fine, but my mind was elsewhere, sketching the next phase. I wanted Clara to feel trapped, her lies a weight she couldn't shed. I targeted Mark's marriage next. I sent Laura a second photo, this time of Clara and Mark kissing outside the loft, with a note. "Ask him about the Seattle trip." I mailed it from my P.O. box, no trace back to me. Laura's response was swift. Mark's texts to Clara mentioned screaming matches and divorce papers. Clara panicked, urging him to fix things with Laura. I savored their chaos, knowing it was my design. Mark's perfect life was crumbling, and Clara's was next. I met Ray at the diner again. He handed me audio, Clara and Mark in the loft, recorded by a tiny device he'd planted. Their voices were raw, arguing about who knew and how to stop it. Clara sounded broken, Mark desperate. I listened, my jaw tight, as they planned to lay low. Too late. I wasn't just exposing them, I was rewriting their futures. The audio was leverage, but I held it back. I wanted them to think they had a chance, to hope before I crushed it. My revenge wasn't loud, it was surgical. The next move would be bolder, public, a strike they'd never recover from. I was ready. The blogger's post about Mark's shady deals gained traction, shared across local forums, even picked up by a small news site. His clients fled, his reputation in tatters. Clara's texts to him were pleading now. "You have to fight this." He barely responded, too busy scrambling to save his career. I'd planted the seeds, and the harvest was chaos. But I wasn't done. I wanted their betrayal displayed, not just whispered about. I created an anonymous social media account, PDX Truth, and started small vague posts about cheaters in Portland's elite, hinting at a teacher and a realtor. I tagged local groups, knowing Clara's colleagues and Mark's clients would see. The posts spread, fueled by gossip-hungry strangers. Clara's school buzzed with rumors. She came home ranting about toxic coworkers, spreading lies. I nodded, feigning concern, but I'd written the script. I escalated, posting a blurred photo of Clara and Mark from Ray's collection. Their faces unrecognizable, but the loft's distinctive door clear. "Who's sneaking around here?" Captioned it. The comments exploded, people speculating, some naming Mark from his recent scandals. Clara's principal called her again, asking about inappropriate relationships. She lied, claiming it was a misunderstanding, but her voice trembled when she told me. I poured her tea, my face blank, my heart racing with control. Mark was breaking. His texts to Clara stopped entirely after Laura kicked him out. I learned this from a new email he sent her, intercepted through my clone of her account. "I'm at a hotel. Laura's done. We're done too." Clara didn't reply, but I found her crying in our garage, clutching her phone. I didn't comfort her. I stood in the shadows, watching her crumble, knowing I'd orchestrated every tear. She thought Mark was her escape. Now he was her anchor, dragging her down. I planned the next strike. I'd leak the audio, but not raw. It'd be edited. Their voices clear, but the context twisted to sound transactional. Like Clara was paid for her time. It'd ruin her career, her name. I'd send it to her school board, Mark's clients, even Laura, all from PDX Truth. No one would trace it to me. I was the grieving husband, oblivious, supportive. Lily's school play was tomorrow. I'd sit beside Clara, clapping for our daughter, while my plan unfolded online. The world would see their shame, and I'd watch, untouched. Revenge wasn't just pain. It was poetry, each line deliberate, each word a cut. They'd betrayed me, but I'd betray their trust in the world itself. The stage was set, the curtain rising. They'd feel it soon. Lily's play was a blur of glitter and giggles, her small frame glowing as she played a talking tree. Clara sat beside me, clapping too hard, her smile brittle. I held her hand, my grip gentle, but my mind was on PDX Truth. That morning, I'd posted another teaser. Big reveal soon, teacher and realtor caught in a lie. Stay tuned. The account had hundreds of followers now, locals hungry for scandal. Clara's colleagues were tagged, Mark's former clients too. The net was tightening. Back home, Clara was distracted, checking her phone constantly. She didn't know PDX Truth was mine, but she sensed the walls closing in. People are so cruel, she muttered, scrolling through gossip sites. I agreed, my voice soft, while I mentally edited the audio. I'd spent hours splicing it, making their loft conversations sound sordid. Clara laughing about extra cash, Mark promising discretion. It was a lie, but a convincing one. I'd send it tomorrow, timed for maximum impact. Mark was a ghost now, his hotel address in a text I'd intercepted. I drove by not to confront him, but to see his fall. He looked haggard, loading a suitcase into a beat-up sedan, his tailored suits gone. Laura had frozen his accounts, Ray told me. I felt no pity. He'd touched my wife, built a secret life with her. He'd pay, not with fists, but with ruin. Clara was next. Her school was already whispering. One push and she'd lose everything. I started laying traps at home. I left my laptop open. A fake email from a concerned parent about Clara's behavior visible. She saw it, her face paling, but said nothing. I wanted her paranoid, second-guessing every glance. I also misplaced her work ID, forcing her to miss a meeting with the principal. She scrambled, blaming herself, while I watched, silent. Each small act was a brick in her cage, her confidence eroding. Lily kept me grounded. She'd draw pictures of our family, Clara's smile too big, mine too stiff. I tucked them away, promising myself she'd be okay. This wasn't about her, it was about justice. Clara had chosen Mark, chosen lies. I'd chosen truth, sharp and cold. That night, I finalized the audio file, uploaded it to a private server, and drafted emails to the school board, local media, and Laura. PDX Truth would post it at noon, with a caption, "The truth about Portland's favorite teacher and realtor." I'd be at work, my alibi solid, while their worlds burned. Clara kissed me goodnight, her lips cold. I smiled, knowing she'd wake to a reckoning. The trap was set, the trigger ready. All I had to do was pull. Noon came, and I sat at my desk, sketching a client's building, my phone buzzing with notifications. Truth's post was live. The audio, 2 minutes of Clara and Mark's spliced voices, painting a sordid picture. "She's worth every penny," Mark's voice said. A line I'd crafted from unrelated clips. Clara's laugh followed, twisted to sound greedy. The caption read, "Teacher and realtor exposed. Who trusted them?" I'd sent the file to her school board, local news, and Laura, all anonymous. The fallout was instant. My phone pinged with texts from Clara's coworkers, forwarded by a friend who knew nothing of my role. "Have you seen this? Is it true?" they asked. I didn't reply, my face blank as I drew. Clara called me at 12:30, her voice shaking. "Someone's spreading lies about me online," she said. "The school's freaking out." I feigned shock, promising to come home early. Inside, I was steel, my plan unfolding perfectly. Social media erupted. Truth's followers shared the audio, speculating wildly. Clara was a gold digger, Mark a sleaze. Her school put her on leave pending investigation. A colleague texted me. Mark's remaining clients dropped him, his name now toxic. Laura posted publicly, calling him a disgrace. Her words laced with pain I'd weaponized. I'd turned their private betrayal into a public execution, and no one suspected me. Clara was a wreck when I got home. She paced, tears streaking her face, claiming the audio was fake. "Someone's framing me," she said, clutching my arm. I hugged her, my voice soothing, but my eyes were on Lily, coloring in the next room. Clara didn't deserve her tears. I asked gentle questions, probing for cracks in her story. She stammered, mentioning Mark for the first time, calling him just a friend. I nodded, my rage buried deep. That night I checked PDX Truth. The post had thousands of shares, comments calling for Clara's firing, Mark's ruin. I added fuel, posting from a second anonymous account. Check their emails. More proof there. I'd hacked Clara's account weeks ago, planting subtle, fabricated messages suggesting payments from Mark. If the school dug deeper, they'd find them. I wasn't just exposing their affair. I was rewriting their lives as villains. Clara slept fitfully beside me, unaware I'd authored her nightmare. Mark was silent, his phone off. Ray confirmed. They thought they'd hit bottom. They were wrong. I had one final act, something crueler, something permanent. I'd waited long enough. The blueprint was complete, every line precise. Tomorrow I'd finish it, and they'd never recover. For now, I closed my eyes, the architect of their end, calm and ready. I woke early, the house silent except for Clara's uneven breathing. She'd cried herself to sleep, her phone dead from endless scrolling. PDX Truth was trending locally, the audio dissected on every platform. Her school's email, leaked by a concerned parent, me, confirmed her suspension. Mark's real estate license was under review, his name poison. I'd dismantled their worlds, but the final stroke was coming. Something to ensure they'd never rebuild. I drove to work, leaving Clara to face reporters who'd started calling our home. I'd tipped them off, anonymous, suggesting a scandalous teacher-realtor affair. By 10 a.m., a news van was outside our house. Ray texted. Clara wasn't answering her phone, likely hiding. Good. Let her feel the weight. I focused on my next move. A package, mailed from my P.O. box to the school board, Laura, and key local influencers. Inside were printed emails, fabricated but flawless, detailing Clara and Mark's arrangement, complete with forged bank transfers. I'd used Ray's contacts to make them look real, untraceable to me. The emails painted Clara as a schemer, Mark as her enabler, their affair a transaction. The school would fire her. Laura would bury Mark in court. I'd also included a letter, typed, no signature. They thought they could hide. Now the world knows. It was theatrical but deliberate. Clara loved drama, after all. She'd starred in her secret life. Now she'd play the villain in mine. At lunch, I checked PDX Truth. The account was suspended, too many reports, but the damage was done. Clara's name was trending, her photo from the school website plastered online. Mark's hotel had kicked him out. Ray learned, his credit cards maxed. I felt no joy, only clarity. They'd betrayed me, Lily, our life. This wasn't revenge, it was balance, a ledger corrected. I went home early, finding Clara on the couch, eyes red, Lily at a friend's house. "Why is this happening?" she whispered. I sat beside her, my voice soft, asking if there was someone else. She froze, then shook her head, lying to my face. I nodded, my plan complete. That night, I'd send one last email from Pixtrutha's backup account, linking to a Dropbox with every photo, email, and audio clip, shared with her school, Mark's clients, and Portland's gossip mills. It'd be my final signature, the collapse of their lives. I tucked Lily in later, her questions about mommy's trouble breaking my heart. I promised her we'd be okay. Just us. Clara didn't deserve her. Or me. As I closed Lily's door, I felt the weight lift. The architect had built his masterpiece, not of brick but of ruin. Clara and Mark would live in its shadow forever. I was done. The Dropbox link went live at midnight, sent from Pixtrutha's backup account to Clara's school board, Mark's former clients, local media, and every gossip-hungry influencer in Portland. It contained everything. Ray's photos, the forged emails, the spliced audio, even a timeline I'd crafted, detailing Clara and Mark's affair with ruthless precision. The caption read, "The full truth about Portland's liars. No one's safe." I'd set the account to self-delete after 24 hours, leaving no trace. I was at home, sipping coffee, when it launched, Clara asleep upstairs, oblivious to the storm. By morning, the link had spread like wildfire. My phone buzzed with texts from friends, shocked, asking if I'd seen the news about Clara. I played dumb, my voice steady, while inside, I was a conductor watching my symphony play. News sites picked it up, calling it Portland's Scandal of the Year. Clara's school issued a statement, confirming her termination for conduct unbecoming. Mark's real estate board revoked his license, citing ethical violations. Laura's lawyer filed for full custody, using the Dropbox as evidence. I'd built a guillotine and it was falling. Clara woke late, her phone flooded with notifications. She scrolled, her face ashen, then ran to the bathroom, retching. I knocked, offering water, my concern a perfect mask. "What's wrong?" I asked, knowing she'd lie. "It's all lies," she sobbed, clutching her knees. I nodded, but my eyes were on the clock. Reporters were outside again, their cameras flashing. She wouldn't leave the house, wouldn't answer calls. Her world was gone, her job, her reputation, her lover. I'd taken it all. Lily was at school, shielded for now. I'd planned for her, arranging playdates to keep her away from the chaos. Clara didn't deserve her trust, but I'd protect it. I drove to work, leaving Clara to drown in her shame. At lunch, I checked the fallout. The Dropbox was viral, shared thousands of times. Comments called Clara a disgrace, Mark a fraud. No one questioned the evidence, I'd been too thorough. Ray texted, "You're a ghost. No one's looking at you." Perfect. I was the betrayed husband, pitted, not suspected. That night, Clara begged me to fix this, claiming she'd been set up. I listened, my face blank, promising to look into it. But I was done building. The structure was complete, its weight crushing them. Mark was silent, his hotel number disconnected. Clara was a shell. My revenge was nearly finished, but one final piece remained. A personal touch, a signature only they'd see. I was ready to end it. Clara broke the next day. She sat at the kitchen table, her hands shaking, and confessed. "It was Mark," she whispered, eyes on the floor. "It started last year. I didn't mean for it to happen." Her voice cracked, but I felt nothing. She admitted to the loft, the trips, the lies, but swore the audio and emails were fake. "Someone's destroying us," she said, looking at me, pleading. I leaned back, my face unreadable, and asked, "Why?" She rambled about feeling trapped, needing something new. Each word was a nail, but my coffin was already built. I didn't shout or accuse. I stood, poured coffee, and said, "We'll talk later." She reached for me, but I walked away, my steps deliberate. Lily was at a friend's, safe from this. I drove to a park, sat on a bench, and planned the final act. Clara's confession was her surrender, but I didn't want apologies. I wanted her to carry the weight forever. Mark too. They'd feel me, not as Daniel, but as the force that reshaped their lives. I contacted Ray one last time, asking for a favor. He'd plant a letter at Mark's hotel, slipped under his door. It'd be simple, typed, "You thought you could take her. Now you have nothing. D." No one would trace it, but Mark would know. Clara would get one, too, delivered to our mailbox tomorrow. "You chose him. Now live with it. D." They'd see my initial, a ghost they couldn't touch. It wasn't proof, it was poetry, my signature on their ruin. Back home, Clara was packing a bag, muttering about staying with her sister. "I need space," she said, avoiding my eyes. I didn't stop her. She'd find no refuge. Her sister had seen the Dropbox, her friends had ghosted her. She was alone, just as I'd been, staring at her locked phone months ago. I nodded, saying, "Do what you need." She left, her car disappearing into the dusk. I stood in the quiet house, Lily's drawings on the fridge, and felt the calm of completion. The letters went out that night, Ray confirming delivery. Mark's hotel was a dive now, his life reduced to a single bag. Clara's would arrive tomorrow, waiting in our mailbox. I didn't need to see their reactions. I knew they'd feel the cut. The Dropbox was still circulating, their names etched in Portland's memory. I'd turned their betrayal into a legend, a cautionary tale. They'd live in its shadow, and I'd walk away, Lily's hand in mine, my blueprint flawless. One last step remained, a quiet one, to ensure they'd never forget. Clara found her letter at noon, stuffed in our mailbox among bills. I was home, watching from the window as she tore it open, her hands trembling, her face crumpled, eyes darting to the D at the bottom. She looked around, as if I'd appear, but I was just Daniel, cooking lunch for Lily inside. She shoved the letter in her pocket, her steps unsteady, and drove off. I didn't ask where. I knew she was running from me, from herself, from the truth she'd glimpsed. Ray confirmed Mark got his letter, too. He'd found it under his hotel door, read it, and trashed his room in a rage, the manager said. He called Clara, but she didn't answer. Her phone was off, her life unmoored. The D was my mark, a whisper only they'd hear. They'd suspect me, but what could they do? The world saw me as the wronged husband, my hands clean, my story airtight. They'd choke on their doubts, and that was enough. The Dropbox impact lingered. Clara's school hired a replacement, her name scrubbed from their website. Mark's clients sued him, claiming fraud based on my planted rumors. Laura's divorce was finalized, leaving him penniless. Social media had moved on, but Portland hadn't. Clara and Mark were pariahs, their faces recognized, their stories whispered. I'd made them untouchable, their betrayal a brand they'd wear forever. I focused on Lily now, shielding her from the wreckage. She asked why Mommy left, and I said, "She's figuring things out." It wasn't a lie. Clara was at her sister's, but her sister barely spoke to her. Ray learned. She'd applied for jobs, but no one hired a scandal star. I didn't care where she went next. She'd lost us. I'd file for divorce soon, full custody of Lily. My case ironclad thanks to the public's verdict. That night, I burned the receipt that started it all, the one from Clara's purse, in our backyard. The flames curled the paper, erasing the last physical trace of my discovery. I didn't need it anymore. My revenge was complete, not in anger but in design. Clara and Mark would live, but not as they'd known. They'd wake daily to their choices, my initial haunting them. I'd rebuilt my life, Lily at its center, while theirs lay in rubble. The architect had finished his work, the structure eternal. I slept soundly, the first time in months, knowing they never would. Weeks passed, and Clara faded from our lives. She moved to a small apartment across town, scraping by on temp work, her teaching career dead. Ray kept tabs. She tried contacting Mark, but he'd blocked her, too broken to care. Laura had taken everything in the divorce, leaving him couch-surfing with a cousin. His real estate dreams dust. Portland forgot them, but their scars remained, my handiwork invisible. I'd won, not with noise but with silence. Lily and I settled into a new rhythm. I'd take her to school, her laughter filling the car, her questions about Clara rarer now. I'd hired a therapist to help her process, framing Clara's absence as her choice. Lily drew new pictures, me, her, our dog, no Clara. I framed them, my home a sanctuary again, cleansed of betrayal. Friends pitted me, offering dinners, blind dates. I smiled, declining, my focus on Lily and my work. Clara tried calling once, begging to see Lily. I was polite but firm. Not now. She needs stability. She cried, but I hung up, my heart steady. She'd sent a letter, too, apologizing, claiming she'd lost herself. I didn't read it to Lily, I filed it away, evidence for the custody battle. My lawyer was ready, the Dropbox fallout my leverage. Clara had no fight left, her spirit crushed by the world I'd turned against her. Mark vanished entirely. Ray heard he'd left Portland, maybe for Seattle, chasing a fresh start. It wouldn't work. His name was Google's first hit for Portland Scandal. He'd carry my design wherever he went, a life sentence to whispers and closed doors. I didn't need to see him suffer. Knowing he did was enough. My letters, those single DS, were their private prisons, a reminder I'd seen them, judged them, ended them. I started sketching again, not just buildings but ideas. Stories, plans, a future for Lily and me. The architect in me thrived. My revenge a masterpiece I'd never share. No one suspected me, not friends, not police, not even Clara. She'd looked at me that day with the letter, fear in her eyes, but said nothing. She knew deep down I'd outplayed her. Mark too. They'd live with that, and I'd live free. My daughter's hand in mine, my conscience clear. The blueprint was complete, the structure eternal. A year later, Lily and I moved to a new house. A craftsman with a big yard, far from the memories of Clara's lies. She's 9 now, her smile brighter, her drawings full of color. We bake cookies, play board games, and talk about her dreams. She wants to be an astronaut. I'm her rock, her home, and she's mine. Clara sends birthday cards, but Lily rarely responds. I don't force her. She's healing, and so am I. Clara's a ghost now, working retail in Eugene, her face aged beyond her years. Ray says, she tried teaching again, but no school would touch her. She lives alone. No friends, no Mark, her life a shadow of mine. I don't hate her, I feel nothing. She chose her path and I chose its end. Mark's in Spokane, a used car salesman, his charm gone, his name still tainted. They're alive, but not living, their world small, their choices heavy. My letters, my design, linger in their minds, I'm sure. I'm dating again, a kind woman named Elise, a librarian who loves Lily. Slow, careful, but real. My work thrives, new contracts, bigger projects. I'm not the man I was, trusting blindly. I'm sharper, wiser, my edges honed by betrayal. But with Lily, I'm soft, her laughter my compass. She doesn't know what I did, and she never will. It's my burden carried lightly. Portland's forgotten the scandal, but I haven't. Not because I dwell, but because it shaped me. I built something from Clara's lies. Not just revenge, but a life, stronger, truer. The architect in me sees it. A foundation laid in pain, walls raised in justice, a roof of love for Lily. Clara and Mark were a flaw in the design, removed with precision. They'll never know the full scope of my plan, but they'll feel its weight forever. Sometimes at night, I stand in our yard, stars above, and think of them, not with anger but satisfaction. I didn't break them, they broke themselves. I just showed the world. Lily calls me inside, her voice warm, and I go, leaving the past where it belongs. The blueprint is finished. The house stands tall, and I'm home.